Everybody, and thank you for joining us for another edition of Now You Know. So this one is just going to be a slightly different from our usual sessions in that we had quite a few hot topics that were circulating. So we just wanted to address those specifically and also invite you to be on the webinar call with us so that you could ask questions. The format is going to be pretty much the same as usual. We will do an update, provide some information to you, and then move into the Q&A at the end of the session. So we are still broadcasting live on Facebook. So those of you who are following on Facebook, feel free to pop your questions in the comments. And those of you who are here on the webinar, you will notice a toolbar at the bottom of your screen. You're going to use the one called Q&A. I'm not really going to be watching the chat box, so if you have any questions, put them in the Q&A box, and we will get to as many questions as we can throughout the session. And if there are any that we aren't able to get to, we will definitely circle back around to those and share those. We will be saving this video. And as always, it is available on Facebook after the meeting so that you can go back and take a look at that. So that said, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our community manager, Brandon.
Thanks, Shauna. I appreciate everyone jumping on today. And another Now You Know, we went to a once a month format because the every other week we weren't getting as many questions, but we do have some topics for this one, so that's good. So I wanted to first start off with just a little general information about the association. So I think there's tends to be, especially in a development period, there tends to be a little bit of confusion on whose role and who's doing what when. From the community association standpoint, once you purchase your home as a homeowner, that's when you join the community association. So builders are a different portion of the association. They're still somewhat members of the association, but we don't have the abilities that we have with individual homeowners. So I know a lot of complaints and things that I've received are in regards to builders, how they're going, their subcontractors, how they're going about, they're making a mess or doing this or doing that. I certainly do not mind fielding those, and I want to know those things so I will pass that to the developer, and the developer has that relationship with the builders. I also will try to establish, I do have a few phone numbers I can call, and I have seen some help in certain areas. But, as far as builders go, we are a semi-new community. It's really, right now we have 350 residents of a 1,850 finish out. So we are still, there will be 1,500 more homes built on this property. So I don't anticipate this is a problem that will go away very soon. There are certain scenarios where we want it to be better than it is. Certainly not saying that nothing can be done, but we definitely want to make sure that we're getting that information to the developer, letting them know that's their relationship with the builders. We don't have any, we don't have any direct contact or anything about how those things are done. That is something the developer handles, and we definitely get that information to them and look for help on that. That also goes with the development side. Anything that has to do with, commercial, any retail established, anything like that, as far as land sales, any of that, that does not come through us. We don't, if I ask, sometimes I'll get an answer, and if they have an update and I ask, but it's certainly not something the association, the community association has any handle in. So, if I hear something, I definitely would pass that on, but it's not something that is filtered through me at all. So we definitely want to, like I said, I don't mind fielding any questions. I'm glad to do it. Anything I can do, I will be completely honest with you of what I can, what I know and don't know. So, that's kind of the role as far as the association goes. Like I said, homeowners that purchased in the property, when you signed the documents, you became a member of the association. That's where that's where our purview kicks in. My purview as a community manager, Shauna is the lifestyle director. And that's another kind of want to caveat to another thing. Shauna's lifestyle, I am community manager. Shauna handles lifestyle. She should be the fun person. You should really enjoy hanging around Shauna. As far as my role as community manager, I really hope you enjoy me, but I tend to get less enjoyment with some of the answers that I have to provide and things like that. I'm here to serve you guys and do the best I can and protect the association. That's my role. So any questions related to that, I prefer that they come to me. Shauna is fantastic. She'll answer them as best she can, and she's not going to tell you it's not my job or I don't know, and that's what makes her great. But I would prefer that if I'm able to, I want to get those questions answered for you. I think I had a couple of questions come in before. There was a question about a sidewalk on Pike Street that ends. I will get that over to the developer and let them know. I know there was basically it's a sidewalk that just kind of ends in nowhere. I know that was a situation on a couple other areas that they have fixed or they have completed the sidewalk. So I'll make sure and note that to them and let them know maybe this is an area that was overlooked. So thank you for that, Sarah. Also had another question regarding retail development establishments. Like going back to what I said, I don't know. I have not received any information related to that. I'm sure that if you know anyone that wants to purchase retail property, that they will sell it to you. I imagine that would be the case. So I would hope that we would see some of that as we further in the development. So I guess what we'll do, I'll just kind of go over the topics. The landscaping, I have met with the landscaper. I'd met with him on Tuesday to kind of go over a few things, just as a go back to a refresher on landscape. The center median on Gateway Boulevard is the city's responsibility. So I've reached out to the city, and actually when I was out there Tuesday, sorry, when I was out there, I did see that their crew was out cleaning up the end caps, getting some weeds, taken care of. We have asked them to make sure that is done more frequently. And it's supposed to be, from what I understood, it's a weekly service they have with that company. And then they also have a spraying service that comes in, should be treating for weeds and things like that. So that should remain, that should remain the case. So, and I will continue to follow up with that. A unique situation we have because of the city being a part of the medians, and then our irrigation overlaps with the city. So we have had some issues where there's some miscommunications, or there's somebody messes with a controller and it messes something up, and we see excess water, which is something that I've been getting on our crew about, and they will, they'll follow up with that, and we hope to get an improvement there. Right now, the crews are scalping the grass. They're going to be going in with the winter rye. So if you see them going real low, the water is going to come off, and they're going to cut the grass super low. They're going to start overseeding rye. So that's the grass that remains green throughout winter. So that'll be on the Gateway Boulevard, around the amenity center at the entrances and things like that. You'll see that happen within the next few weeks. So another topic, hot topic, was the fitness center. The fitness center is obviously still closed. I did see today that the state upped its capacities for gyms, which somewhat applies to our fitness center. That up to 75%, which is good. It's heading in the right direction. We want it. Previously, the board decided at 100% we would reopen the fitness center. The thought process behind that is obviously from a liability standpoint, opening the fitness center it's a small size. So basically, at a 50% capacity, it would have been somewhere 3, 4, 5 people at most in the gym, in the fitness center. So it's really, and then you have to staff that in order to ensure that we're meeting the guidelines of the CDC. So it didn't make sense to put that money into it. And it was actually, money was put into the pools to the tune of around $50,000 over budget in order for the pools to be operational. You know, we did waivers, of course, which is good. It helped to cover some liabilities, but then we also had to back that up with a staff that would do the CDC requirements, which would clean and things like that. So that's kind of where we, right now with the fitness facilities, and it's something that I will be reaching back out to the board, letting them know, you know, hey, we've seen an increased capacity, you know, maybe it's something we need to reach out to the council about again, and if there's any better options for reopening the fitness center before that 100%, you know, it's definitely possible, but the decision was not made just on a whim. It was definitely made by, you know, counsel with legal counsel, letting us know their thoughts and insurance coverage, what is or is not covered, and basically just handling the liability end of operating something like that. It is certainly my hope that this never happens again, and that I never have to talk about that fitness facility being closed other than for maintenance of whatever reason. So I don't want that. I do want that to end quickly. And I promise you, if I could, I would make a bunch of friends and just open it. But I have to do the best thing for the association. So that's why right now I'm going to, you know, I'll definitely reach out to the board. They're going to make the decision, and I'll back that up and understand what goes into that. So that's those issues. Was there another issue, Sean? I'm sorry, I'm blanking here. I had a
those were two of the big ones.
Okay. Let's jump on. I can jump into some questions here on the Q&A. Excuse me, I apologize. Will there be any sports outside of the soccer field? Sand volleyball would be great. There's no plans for any additional amenities to be built on the property. That's, you know, at this point, that's my best answer, because you know, something we can definitely put to the board if they have any interest in adding things. But we're kind of, as far as amenities go, we're built to the capacity of what the original plans stated to have. So that's the simple answer to that. Not saying it could never happen. It certainly is something, you know, years down the road, you could jump in and do something like that. But you also have to understand, anytime you add amenities, you're adding costs. You're adding maintenance costs, you're adding liability costs, insurance, and everything associated with that. It's not just as easy as a X dollar bill putting something in. You know, it's a long term of everything. So not to say it's not possible, but that's kind of where it's at right now. Are the flower beds going to be cleaned up and maintained? Right now they are overgrown and not maintained. I think I'd answered that earlier with if you're relating to the center of Gateway Boulevard, I did see they were going through cleaning out some weeds. The end caps of Gateway Boulevard at 212 and 1641, sorry. Those are ours in the middle sections. Yes, those should be, you know, cleaned up. Our color change will be happening probably at the end of next month. So we'll see some fresh color in there. I've also spoken with them about filling in some ground cover that's not really done as well as I think anyone hoped. So that's the flower beds. What exactly does our HOA dues cover? Very common question, understandably. So basically the HOA dues cover the amenities. So all the amenities, all the maintenance there that are associated with that. It covers obviously the management staff, the management generally, collections, insurance, landscaping is a huge portion of the budget here. So that general 1,000-foot view, I mean, there's a lot of, you know, the pools themselves are a big, you know, none of this exists without the association being here. So, you know, that's why every community nowadays has an association, in order to maintain these things that people enjoy. So And it has that value to your home. We're here to protect the values, and that's, it's always the goal, is to make sure you're enforcing the community guidelines, following up on collections to make sure that the appropriate funds are received, budgeting and planning for the future, because, I don't know, everybody has different plans, but if you plan to be here in 50 years, the goal is that this community will be in the same shape or better. So you plan for that, you build reserve funds to make repairs to the amenities, to the pools, and then, later on down the road, if you have capital funds where you can add things to the community if the board so decides. So that's kind of the overview of what happens with the HOA dues. Sorry, reading a question. Somebody is, Christina, you're asking about some anticipated development. We're still very early on. I think home sales are doing better than they had even thought with COVID-19. I think that is general across the board for most communities. But I do know, obviously, I said earlier, we're at about 350 homeowners of an anticipated 1850. So as that grows, I do anticipate that further development outside of just homeowners would follow that. That is what I've seen in the past. If the economy is the economy, and there's no, if it slides, then there'll be a lull, and then it'll come back. It's established, it's here. It's as much, like I said, if there's anybody that wants to purchase that, they will sell it. They'll do the retail. I'm sure of that. So once that time comes, then they'll do it. But I think as we continue to grow as a community, then those things will follow as well. I think so. There's a comment here about use technology as far as the waivers and everything with the fitness center. I get it. It's real easy to say, sign a waiver, set certain times, all that, but that really doesn't. It goes back to, we also have to follow it up with meeting CDC guidelines. They are, I know a few other properties that have fitness centers, they are not open because you can't staff them in a way to meet the guidelines and to cover all the liabilities you need to as a community association. And we have to understand that your money is the community association. So there's no multi-million-dollar conglomerate. I know some apartment communities have their fitness centers open. They're a multi-million-dollar company that has the ability and staffing to take care of those things. So and they also can carry more liability than us as Gateway Park Owners Association can. So that's the thought. That's why it is what it is. And like I said, I'm gonna, with the increased capacity that I saw today, went to 75%. It's definitely something we'll reach out to the board and let them make a decision, with appropriate counsel, legal counsel, and understanding of what that would look like. So there's a few questions here related to, renters, different rules of the community. So about every 2 weeks, I do a community drive. I was out this week, noted quite a few violations. The most common violation I saw was weed and grass in beds. Some of you may get a notice relating to that. So weed and grass in beds, that's very common one. I saw a lot of. Basically, just if you have a landscape bed, make sure that it's free of weed and grass. Weeds, not weed. Sorry. Definitely both. And then trash cans. So trash cans, according to the documents, need to be stored out of sight, if not out for collection. So if they're not on the street, they need to be in your garage or in an area where they can't be seen from the street. So that's another one that I saw. As far as rentals goes, the rentals are allowed. Short-term rentals are not allowed. So when it comes to it, the documents state that it must be a 6-month lease term. So we, if there's any evidence that that's not occurring, which I do know that does exist, then we will be following up on that and enforcing the documents. Having neighbors is part of the deal that everybody's different, and that's part of my role, is to make sure that we at least get as close to a commonality. Everybody takes care of their things differently. When I was driving yesterday, I almost stopped and asked, there was a lady working on her yard, or so it was Tuesday. I almost stopped and asked her what she did to make her grass so green, because I want some of that. There's a lot of differing things. So we want to make sure that we can try to get everybody on the same page. So that's where I try to follow up as best I can, and in those correct time frames. So I do drives every 2 weeks, because I can't send a notice and then a few days later send another one. I have to give time to cure, which is a minimum of 10 days. In that, so that's kind of why that happens. So that's kind of where the rules are, and it says it speaks to consistency. I don't know who lives where. Everybody's gonna, if you're in violation, you're gonna get a notice, or I'm gonna try to reach out. That's gonna happen no matter what. So and I do, just from my standpoint, if I see something that is, it looks like maybe they missed the cut on this one day, or it doesn't look habitual, I know I don't have any, past history of it, I will definitely, use the human element, but we also do have to be consistent in how we enforce and how that is taken with everyone. So there's more things related to the fitness center. I totally understand. I get your frustration. It's not as easy as just putting stuff out for you to do it yourself. That doesn't cover the liability of the association. That just because you do it doesn't mean the next person would. So there has to be checks and balances of how that works. So that's kind of where it's at. And like I said, it's something I'm going to discuss, and we'll, hopefully sooner than later, it will be a moot point. So, question: are there any residents on the board of the HOA at this time? There are not. Like I said, we're still very early on. I think the first one would come in at, I believe, I don't have the documents right in front of me, I think it's 75%. So it theoretically could be a while. And I think there's also a provision in there that it's at 10 years. If you aren't at that capacity in 10 years, you'll have somebody on the board. So no, there's not a homeowner on the board currently. So that's why. Sorry. Cedar Crest and Greenbelt, the Y intersections, as far as the directional signs there, I would have to get with the city on how that, because we wouldn't do traffic signs as the association. I do know what you're talking about. I kind of understand what you're saying there. I'll reach out to the city. I'm gonna make a note of that, and that way we can get an understanding of, I do get it. I kind of get confused too about whether I should go around or, yeah, I get it. There was a question about the sidewalks and stuff that are underwater. Yeah, there's a few spots that we're seeing that are underwater. I did speak with the landscaper related to that, some low-lying areas, and as soon as I know a time frame on that, I will share that with you. But it is something I want to get done as soon as possible. A couple areas where they're just really low-lying, and then the irrigation going off, it tends to pool water. So the main area there along Gateway Boulevard, luckily there's a way around it. So I would ask certainly that you take that way around it for the interim, but I do want to make sure it's taken care of as soon as we can get an understanding of what's going on and then make a plan to get it done. So there's a question about what happens when people don't respond to violations. We continue the process there. We do have a fining policy. Going also about violations, I can't share who is in what portion of the process of a violation, or if they are in violation. I wouldn't share that about you. I'm not going to share that about others. So I do want to, if they're in the process, I'll indicate that they're in a process or we're aware of it. But it does go to a fining policy. We do have abilities within the documents to cure it on our own and then bill it back, but that is something that's a little further on in the process. It's not an immediate thing. Just because we see a violation, we can't go out that day. There's a process to what we can do. The flagpole at the entrance of 212 and Gateway Boulevard, yes, that was knocked down in February. There have been COVID-related delays to that and also insurance-related delays, but I'm glad to say that pole is in production, and I would hope to have it the next 2 to 3 weeks. I don't know that. I talked to the vendor on last Saturday, and he said that it was in production. He's hoping that it's within that time frame, but realistically, it's probably a month out before we get that up. So I do look forward to having that pole replaced. So. There's a question related to Gateway Park's trails through the network, or we have nothing to do with how they market the community. Whether, the trail, I know I've heard a couple of people mention that as far as the trails, Sean or I, the homeowners, the owners association have no control on what they market, any of that. That was done way before we arrived, and done outside of, anything to do with the owners association. So yeah, I mean, as far as what's coming, I do know that the community itself is going to extend from where it currently is all the way to 1641. There's going to be homes all the way out there. So as far as any open land, there's just not going to be much. It's going to be all developed and be homes. So my understanding of the map, it's the trails or the 6-foot sidewalks throughout the community, which will run pretty much the entirety of the community. Another question about lawns. Like I said, I do my normal drives, and will continue to do so, following up as I can on those. Broken down cars that are not registered, that is something that I can ride on if you want to send me an email directly. I'd have noted a few of those, and it's also a city issue, so we can kind of go at it from 2 ways there. More questions about the gym. I'm sorry, guys. I've kind of hit that one as much as it's kind of a dead horse there. I definitely, I get what you're saying. If it was like I said, I would love to make a bunch of friends and open it up, but I will definitely continue to communicate with the board with the capacities, and hopefully get a resolution sooner than later. Ideally, we go back to 100% capacity and never deal with this again, but I know that's probably wishful thinking. Walk through the procedure for front screen doors. Christina, I assume you mean submitting for a screen door, or what that looks like. So any ACC submission will go. You can go to the mygatewayparks.com, and under the residence tab, you can look under property modifications. You can submit information there. So I always encourage people, if you're going to do something on the outside of your house, submit it to the ACC committee. That way that all the bases are covered, that any time down the road, if something comes up, you can go back, it was approved, it's a non-issue, you go on with your day. So with that, you would just submit, put in there, I want to submit for a screen door, provide a picture of that screen door, a screenshot, anything like that, and I'll send it over to the committee and they review it. This committee is very good. The board's very good. They turn them around really quickly. It ends up being just, sometimes it'll be the same day, sometimes, a few days, but they do have 30 days, but I've yet to see it take that long. What about street lights out? Street lights are Encore. Is Encore out here? Sorry, I haven't actually submitted one yet. I believe, no, it's CoServe, I think. Sorry. One of the electrical company, the electrical provider, they handle streetlights. This is not a homeowners association thing, or owners association thing. So yeah, streetlights, if there's something in particular, please let me know. I'll go find the number and I'll find a way to report it. Greg, I spoke about the standing water. As soon as I know the plan from our vendor, then I'll definitely share a timeline. Hopefully, get that done sooner than later. I think this, Matthew, I believe this is related to the gym. Why does the HOA feel the need to go above the state guidelines? We're not going above the state guidelines. We just can't meet, without substantial funds investment, we can't meet the state guidelines. So that's kind of the thought there. We can't, the CDC requirements we can't meet without having a staffed fitness facility. So that's something that I think because of its size and capacity and usage generally, that it wouldn't be, as I stated before, the pool was about $50,000 to operate. Obviously, much less of an operation, but if you want to operate at any hours where folks could be involved, then it would still be a pretty significant cost. Another common question of, what my assessment needs to be less because the fitness center is not open. Well, the fitness center still exists. It's still a liability on the association that we have to maintain. It doesn't really, unfortunately, without usage, it doesn't change. It still exists. And so that's why, the assessment doesn't change no matter what. Those costs don't really change for the association. And also, that could go back to, even without COVID, there's a good portion of the community that will never enter that fitness center. So they don't receive a credit towards their assessments on a yearly basis. Same for folks that don't use the pool. It's just a part of the package of the association. When you purchase the home, it's kind of part of the deal. And as soon as we're able to let you use it, that's going to happen. But until then, that's what the situation. I've got a fake news on here. Thank you. Entrances, Greg, I spoke about entrances. I'm sorry if you didn't got on a little late. Entrances, we're working with the landscaper to get some resolution there. Brandy, as far as the car goes, send it to me. I'll follow up where I can. I can't speak to what was done in the past. Are the renters or the owners sent violations? They're normally sent to owners. It is something that if I know it's a rental, then I can send a letter directly to that address. Greg, dog stations? Yeah, absolutely. I actually have a bid coming in for dog stations to do a few on Gateway Boulevard and in the pocket parks. I do think it's a great thing. I want to be getting that to the board for review and get that done. That would be ideal. I definitely think dog stations are a great asset to have on the community. Is there anything coming in from Facebook, Shauna?
Yes, we had a few come in from Facebook. There are a few homeowners, their homes kind of back up to undeveloped land. And then we have some that are maybe next door to builder lots. And so there are a few questions about who maintains that because of the overgrowth and things like that.
So the builder lots, if it's owned by a builder, then that's obviously the builder has a responsibility to maintain that if it's been purchased by a builder. Otherwise, if you're backing up to just an open field at this point, it's something that I can send to the developer, but I don't know how often those are done or if they're even done at all, because there's been no development in those areas. Then it's probably not something that's regularly maintained. But if certain areas, I can definitely let the developer know that I've received some concerns, and I have previously received concerns about it. It's definitely something I'll forward to them and let them know, get an understanding of what their plan is. What I know currently is that if it's those undeveloped areas, they're not really touching them. It's just part of, the deal there. But when, like I said, builder lots, the builders do have a responsibility to keep those mown.
Okay, more questions about whether or not there are plans for a dog park. Very popular.
Dog park, once again, no, as far as amenities go, they are built out completely. Like I said, the dog stations, it won't be a dog park, but I do hope to have those out to where they're accessible and usable by the community. Who enforces, Greg, the works with the builder to keep their lots clean? That's something that I'll try to reach out, but in the beginning I was talking about that's a developer relationship. So we want the developer to handle the builders, and to the point that I have contacts with the builders, I will definitely use those and let them know concerns. But that is not something that is directly falls under me to oversee the builder side.
And that extends to, I'm getting some questions here on Facebook also regarding, picking up nails in your tire or things out in the street, and that all falls under what you just spoke to. So.
Yes, yeah. So.
And I know you addressed that earlier as well. And really, I think you have answered most of the questions that have come in here as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I definitely there's certain things on the chat here that I've addressed, and they don't like. So the HOA certainly would advocate. There's something about when it comes to developers' maintenance responsibilities. Yeah, of course. We'll reach out to the developers and the builders, and absolutely. I promise you, I'm here to serve the community association. I want to help in as many ways as I can. So yeah, I definitely follow up, email, phone calls. I do that. I reach out. I do as much as I possibly can to help, to get these things done. So I do hope
second that because they come through me as well, and I do fill those on to Brandon as well. I know that he is on top of that. We both have reached out to the builders and the developers and definitely advocate for you guys to get the builders on top of that. So it's not just lip service, it's really happening.
Yeah, absolutely. I thanks, Sean. I agree. I know that we both tried to do above and beyond our part, and that's what we're here for. We're here to serve the community. I do take that seriously. I'm going to do the best thing I can to protect the association, to make sure it's viable, As far as this community goes, you're in really fantastic shape. Financially, you're in a great place. Even with the extra costs we've associated with the pools, we're getting a good spot to continue to grow and really maintain it. So yeah, so I mean, I think we kind of hit most of the questions. I would encourage every one of you, please, if you have a question at any time, reach out to me directly. That's what I'm here for. I can promise you, I will give you the answer that is honest. Whether it's an answer you enjoy, I can't guarantee anything, but I promise you, I will be honest with you. I will tell you exactly where I'm at, what I'm doing, what's being done. I promise you, I have no issue with speaking to anything that is within my purview. I won't speak outside of my realm, but I will speak within it. And I definitely want to be able to help in the best way I can. Keith asked, how is Gateway handling trick-or-treating? We
actually have a driveway trunk or treat in the works. We've got a full week of Halloween activities planned for the week leading up to Halloween, and then Halloween night. I put out a poll recently, and everybody agreed that it should be on Halloween night. And so that you don't have people coming to your doors, what we are going to do is have some volunteers, whoever wants to participate in decorating their trunk or driveway. You'll give out candy that way. So a little bit safer than doing a trunk or treat here, all gathered in the parking lot, and also just having people come to your door. So hopefully we can still have a lot of fun and just be a little bit safer than usual.
Absolutely. And thanks to Shauna for adapting. This is certainly not ideal for her, trying to be a lifestyle director in the COVID time. It's got to be tough. I couldn't be a lifestyle director in any time, so being during COVID is pretty rough. So I appreciate what she's done. She's done great with reaching, with some of the things coming up. She's worked with the city and things like that to make sure that we're covering all our bases, which is exactly what we want to do. So thank you so much for doing that, Shauna. I reached back and I saw one from Pam about asking the developer about a sidewalk or path on 212 behind the houses. I will reach out to them and ask that question again. I don't know. That 212, that road seems like at some point it would need to be redone. I mean, it's pretty rough. So I think it's probably going to be the city redoing that road there at some point. So I don't know. At this point, I don't think there's any plans for a sidewalk, but I can definitely ask the question. Thanks, Pam. Like I said, I don't see anything else new. Once again, please reach out to me personally. I know I heard some folks say they're, on Facebook, they heard, I understand things happen on Facebook, and, you get a portion of the story. I have no problem meeting the story and talking about it directly. I'm not on that Facebook, nor would I want to be. I want to talk to you individually. I want to address the things that need to be addressed. As far as a forum like this, I do, if it's something that folks are interested in, we've got a decent amount of folks on board today. It'll probably be something we can maybe do in a quarterly basis, maybe later and even after hours, that maybe we can catch a few more people if that's something that folks would be interested in. Like I said, I really want to be transparent in how we're operating and how Shauna and I are doing, serving the community, doing our best. So I have no issue, doing meetings like that if there's going to be an interest to do that and speaking to, what's happening in the community. So, we do the newsletter every other week. So I will have some information next week. We're getting into political, getting into election time. So I wanted to kind of address some political signage. I'll read the I'll read the portion of the documents here just so the folks on board now will know what it is. So political signs, they may be erected provided the sign is erected no earlier than the 90th day before the date of the election to which the sign relates, is removed no later than 10 days after the election to which the sign relates, and is ground mounted. Only one sign may be erected for each candidate or ballot item. In addition, signs which include any components or characteristics described in section 202.009 of the Texas Property Code are prohibited. So that portion of the property code, it kind of relates to what exactly the political sign looks like. It can't be certain things. So if you're interested in that, please look at it. So political signs, yeah, one per candidate, needs to be ground mounted. You know, that's just going to be the standard sign in the front of your place. We definitely want to be respectful no matter what, you know, no matter what side of the aisle you're on. So I think, you know, I've seen a few and they all look fine. So, and if they haven't, I've probably spoken about it. So yeah, I think I just want to make that aware. I know it's getting into that season of political science. So that's part of I'll put that in the newsletter next week with the exact verbiage from the documents. So yeah, let me see. No, Greg asked, no political flags. No, so it ground mounted. So that would disallow flags. So it would need to be just the political signage in the front, or, you know, whatever the case. But yeah, it would need to be ground mounted. There's a question about the street repairs. That is the city. I know the city is actually working on the dip I saw this week, which is good. That thing is dangerous. So that's the city streets. If there's ponding and holding water, yeah, I've seen what you're talking about there. That has, you know, affected a few areas of ours and things like that. So yeah, that's the city. And I think as we keep, they're following up on it. You know, it's a new street. So I think that they do need to be making those repairs. Matthew, I'm sorry, you continue to talk about what state guidelines. I mean, the ones that Governor Abbott released, you know, about what is required to, you know, capacities, things like that. And then also the CDC guidelines of, you know, making sure you clean it and sanitize it, those things related to it. So that's kind of where we're at. Like I said, it's something that we can talk about with the board, and if they want to change it, and talk to legal counsel. So that's what, you know, that's kind of where we're at on that. Holiday lighting and decorations do not need to be submitted to the ACC committee. They are allowed, but I think the guidelines state 30 days before, and 30 days can be put up 30 days before and 10 days after they need to come down. Another question about a dog park, or no, like I said, I don't know of any plans to do that. It is something that will, you know, I'll definitely throw out and let them know that there's an interest there. But hopefully with, you know, with the pet waste stations, we'll be able to, you know, cover some of that. Stop signs on Gateway. Once again, that's going to be a city or, you know, streets traffic control issue. Yeah, that would be something we can't install anything like that as far as stop signs or, you know, speed signs. Any of that traffic control is going to be done by them. Greg says we need off leash. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I trust my dogs off a leash. Sometimes, most of the time they're great. Sometimes they're not. So yeah, I mean, I think I've hit most of them. I hope to the satisfaction of most that I've answered as many questions as possible. like I said, I'm always here. Please let me know any questions, concerns. I'll be honest with you. I'll tell you where we're at. As soon as I have any updates on the things we've spoken about, landscaping wise, some standing water issues, as soon as I have those, I will definitely make sure and share those so we can make sure that we're covering all the bases and making sure things that are being done by our vendors that should be taken care of. So thank you all. I appreciate the time. I think, like I said, if this is a forum that you're interested in using more often, I'm happy to do it. We of course do still have our Now You Knows, our regular Now You Knows, which may look real similar to this in the future. Those will be monthly. So yeah, I definitely, I think we can, work together to continue to pick up the shortfalls that we've seen on some levels, and on other levels, we're just going to continue to move on and continue in building a great community. So, Shauna?
I just want to mention also that our annual meeting will be coming up in December. So right now it's tentatively scheduled for the first Thursday evening in December, and that is tentative, but that is after hours. And that is your opportunity to speak directly to the board. So I know that some of you had some questions regarding development and managing the builders and some of the landscaping that really kind of we're fielding to the developers, and maybe you're not satisfied with the answers or just want to know more. That is your opportunity to speak to them. So I would definitely recommend that you plan to attend that. It's unfortunate that because of COVID, it's probably going to be a webinar like this one this year instead of in person, but it's still going to be a good opportunity for you guys to ask questions of them. So as soon as we have that date firmed up, I will definitely send out those invitations.
Awesome. Thank you all. I appreciate it. I hope this was helpful. It'll be on Facebook. We'll still be out there to answer any questions. I know you may not cruise through it, so you're always welcome to email and ask. So I hope everyone has a fantastic weekend. Look forward to some really nice weather this weekend, I think. So I hope it's great, and I appreciate everyone.
Thank you, guys.